We're coming on to Wall Stork now, and for Wall Stork, hint is in the name, you're going to need a stretch of wall. You're also going to need something like my chair here to put one of your feet on. So I will show you this exercise from a couple of different angles, but you're going to have one foot on a chair like so. And what it should look like from the side is that your knee should be at hip height. So you don't want the thing that you're putting your foot on to be too high, and you don't want it to be too low. You want a 90-degree angle at your ankle, your knee, and your hip, like so, as you're doing the exercise. Probably the harder the thing that you're putting your foot on, the better. So you don't want it to be like a cushion or a bed, just because that wobbliness probably won't serve you. You want something firm. It's going to help you ground through that feet a little better. What I'm going to do is run you through the overall look of this exercise. We're going to zoom in at the feet, just to make sure, as ever, that you're not cheating with the feet, and then we're going to run through the actual exercise with the amount of time that I want you to do it in. So it looks like this. And what we're trying to do with Wall Stork is keep the middle of the second and third toes, and I'm getting boring at this stage, the middle of your second and your third toes in alignment with the ankle. So we'll zoom in on this in a second, but we're really making sure that that foot does not spin out to the side, it stays parallel. So the middle of the toes are in alignment with the hip, middle of toes, ankle, knee and hip, all in alignment on that standing leg. With the leg that's bent, you're also thinking about your alignment. So you want the ankle directly underneath the knee. And once again, you can see here that I have that nice alignment through to the hip. My knee isn't falling out or falling in. The toe's not off out to the side. I've got two legs that are in perfect alignment, or near enough perfect alignment, but one knee is bent and one knee is straight. The next thing that we've got to think about is your pelvis. So this is a brilliant exercise for getting rid of a pelvic elevation, provided that you don't have your pelvis elevated as you do it. So most of my clients, when I get them doing this for the first time, they will come into more or less this position. So generally speaking, it's the leg that they have hiked up to the chair. The pelvis is higher on one side than the other. So they are keeping themselves locked in that pelvic elevation position. They're not getting the flexion occurring at the hip, it's the pelvis hiking instead. And you can see I'm kind of exaggerated here, but my upper body is offsetting because of that pelvic elevation. So what we have to think about doing is balancing off the pelvis in that range of movement. We do not want one side of your pelvis higher than the other. You want to create like a downward movement through the pelvis so that those bony bits of your hips here at the front are on this alignment here together, rather than one being higher than the other. It's more unusual that you would do that way, but I guess anything is possible. The next compensation that we see a lot of is people like to pop into their hip. So this is not keeping the hip in alignment with the foot. So what I tend to see is I get people in this, they have a hiked pelvis initially, we sort out the hiked pelvis, and then their body's like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to slide the hip out to the side. We don't want that either. You want to keep this side of your hip tucked kind of inwards medially so that the center of your hip is over the middle of that foot. The pelvis stays in alignment. The shoulders stay over the pelvis. So you're trying not to let your shoulders lean to one side or the other. You're spreading your toes wide on both feet and you're pushing into the floor with your toes and with your big toe joints, trying not to scrunch up your feet. And then what we are going to do is tighten the quad of this standing leg, so this is your quad, and slightly tuck your pelvis under on that standing leg as well. So that's going to give you more of a stretch through the front of the hip quad area here, and it might create more work and burning through the calves. So this is the exercise. Pelvis has to be balanced here. We're not popping into the hip. We're not spinning the foot out to the side. We're pushing into the floor with our feet and with our toes, keeping the toes long, squeezing the quad hard here and tucking the pelvis under. Upper body stays relaxed, belly stays relaxed. Let's zoom in at the feet. I'm going to quickly run you through the alignment of your feet as you do this exercise. So when you start off, as much as you can, you're trying to get this parallel foot position. We've spoken about it so much so far, but you're really making sure that it's the middle of your second and your third toes that are in alignment with your ankles, knees, and hips. So this is not parallel feet. Your feet are splayed out to the side. This is obviously more obvious, but lots of people will very subtly have their feet splayed. This is a foot splayed position, and you really want to make sure that the middle of your second and third toes, the centre of gravity is going through the centre of the foot like that. And as you lift your leg up to the chair, what I see a lot of with my clients on the way, can you see there how my foot is not shifting as I take the other one up? I see a lot of this. So they get their foot nicely set up, and then they shift their foot when they take the other one up. It doesn't matter if you have to shift your foot to get yourself up. It tells you something. It tells you that you're not very good at sort of keeping the foot still and using the big toe joint to kind of keep your body stable like that. It doesn't matter if you shift your foot as you take it up, but you have to reset again. So you then have to kind of spin the foot in to create that alignment once again. And actually me doing this on my left hand side is a really nice illustration, because you can see that when I set my foot up straight, my left kneecap doesn't face quite in the same direction. So my left kneecap is slightly internally rotated, which is a problem. I need to change that. So when we're doing the exercise, yes, the foot stays still as the other one comes up. We are driving into the big toe joint of the standing foot, making sure that we still keep weight on the outside edge of the foot. So we're not driving into the big toe joint so much that the foot collapses in. We're still keeping weight on the outside edge of the foot, but we are pushing into the big toe joint as well. We push the calf back against the wall. So there's going to be this like push-pull between the big toe joint and the calf. And then we're going to engage our quad, which is going to help push the knee back against the wall and the calf back against the wall to keep the knee straight. But it's also going to help you with the rotation of your knee. So if I don't engage my calf, my leg has this tendency to rotate the knee inwards like so. But my quad. But when I engage my quad, yes, I pull up the knee, but I'm also using the quad to direct the direction of the knee. So hopefully you can see that how I've changed the alignment through my leg through the work of the quad. My left big toe is pushing down, but I still have weight on the outside edge of the foot. My toes are not clawing. My calf pushes back. The pelvis tucks under. The quad is active, keeping the knee straight, but also trying to keep my kneecap in the best alignment that it can be. So just to recap that, when you take the leg up as much as possible, you're not losing your parallel foot position. Or if you do lose your parallel foot position, make sure you reset it, because it's all about the foot position, sort of creating change as it goes up through the body. So you've seen how your feet might want to cheat. We've spoken about how the exercise works as a whole, and now we're going to do 3 minutes on each leg. 3 minutes on each leg is fairly tough, so stop whenever you need. It's just what you're working towards. You don't have to do anything straight out the gate. So if your body is telling you it's absolutely exhausted after a minute, just stop after a minute. It's fine. You'll get stronger as long as you're not in pain, and the exercise will get easier. So I'm not going to run through the bits and pieces of the exercise. We're going to get ourselves set up. So we've got parallel foot, taking that other leg up without shifting that standing foot. Everything is in alignment through both legs. My pelvis is not lifted. My hip is not popping to the side. I've got parallel alignment through both of my legs. One is bent, pushing into floor with balls of feet and toes, tucking pelvis under, squeezing quad. 3 minutes, here we go. Relaxing upper body and relaxing the belly as well. Wall Stork does loads of different things for people's posture. There's a whole host of reasons why I would give this to people for, I guess, different reasons. It can unwind torsion through the legs. So if your knees and your feet and your hips are all facing in different directions, it's really good for unwinding rotation through the leg. It's great for a pelvic hike. It's great for tight hips because we're stretching off the hips here. It's great for getting people sort of loading through their weaker leg better. It's good for a pelvic disparity because your hips are doing two different things here and the pelvis will sort of change for that. It's good for removing rotation in the upper body if it's caused by a hip dysfunction. So as you can see, there's loads of reasons why this might be a good one for you to do. I can't say that without seeing you, but just give it a go and see how it works. So for me right now, this is feeling very, very hard work. I'm going to have a little bend of my knee just to give it a little relax. This is feeling really hard work in my right calf. So yeah, I think it's the pushing down on my big toe joint, which creates a little bit of like plantar flexion through the foot, is really activating my calf. And it almost feels a little bit crampy. Have another little shake it off and come back to it. It's all good. Tucking that pelvis under, squeezing the quad to like lift the kneecap and make sure that the kneecap is facing as directly ahead as it can. I haven't shifted that foot out to the side. Oh, my calf is loving it, but it is hard work, that is for sure. Oh, I was doing this the other day in one of the other exercises I filmed as well. So basically my read on that is because I'm finding this hard, because that calf is crampy, it tells me I need to do this exercise more often. We've got about 55 seconds left on our right leg, and then we're going to swap sides, noticing how throughout the exercise I haven't lost my alignment through my left leg. So my left leg hasn't fallen out like that. I haven't adjusted the foot. Ooh. Looking forward to stopping this. Trying to keep that calf pushing back to the wall is the hard thing for me right now. 15 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. And now we're going to swap sides. So I'm setting up my left foot, nice parallel position. The foot is not shifting as I lift my right leg up. I'm keeping my right ankle underneath my right knee, thinking about the alignment through my right leg. So middle of toes, ankle, knee and hip. Watching that I'm not hiking my pelvis, which I want to do on that right hand side, so I'm pushing it down, making sure I then don't pop out at the hip on that left hand side, pushing my toes into the floor, big toe joints into the floor, calf against the wall pushes back, pelvis tucks under on that left hand side, quad locks on, making sure that pelvis is nice and level again. 3 minutes here, off we go. So keep pushing down into the big toe joints, but pushing back with the calf. It's that sort of push-pull that will create the work in the calf, and the quad locking on as well on that standing leg. And you can use your bent leg for a little bit of support, so pushing into the big toe joint, watching that you don't lose the alignment through either leg. Breathing, relaxing the belly, arms, shoulders, head. You're not forcing the upper body back. You're really just focusing on what the legs and the pelvis are doing and not overly thinking too much about your upper body. Trying to keep bum flush to wall on both sides. In the camera it looks like my alignment's slightly off, but I think it's just the angle of my my camera, sorry. When I look down at my legs, I'm quite happy with the alignment, so I think the camera was better set up how I was doing it on the other side. We've got just over 1.5 minutes left, really pushing into left big toe joints, pushing back with calves, squeezing quad, tucking pelvis under, keeping both sides of the pelvis at the wall and level with one another, making sure that we're not popping into that left hip, relaxing upper body. Just under a minute left here. Hopefully you're getting all sorts of stuff happening through your left leg. It might be very much concentrated on your calves. It could be that you feel stuff going on the outside edge of your hips, your thighs. There may well be things that you feel all over. You shouldn't be getting knee pain. You shouldn't be getting any pain in your body, but you should be getting hard work, especially on that standing leg. Maybe a little bit in the leg that's propped up as well, because you are putting a little bit of work through that big toe joint. And I have to try super hard on this side to use my quad, keeping it tight to kind of squeeze the knee slightly out to the side, because my knee wants to fall in on this left hand side due to weakness around my hip on the left hand side. So I have to kind of actively pull my kneecap so it faces straight ahead here. Got 5 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And that is Wall Stork.